Yellen pushes war buttons. Home prices rise again and layoffs continue. This is the Foundation Current Events for February 27th, 2024. I am Sot L, Seeker of Truth L, Speaker of Truth L. Just want to keep y'all up to date on these current events. Let's jump into the dance. And of course, as always, please be sure to sign up for the email list at welcometothefoundation.com. You know, we're getting that going. You know, this transition to YouTube has been luxurious, and we appreciate all of you. Let's jump into this. U.S. serviceman dies after setting himself on fire outside the Israeli embassy. This is a big deal. So when we got going on with this war, this is potentially something very, very big that could possibly change the trajectory of what's going on in Ukraine, Russia, so on and so forth, right? So here's what's going on. If you haven't heard this yet, I want to break it down. I'm not going to read the article. They're already talking about his mental health. I watched the video. I watched the unedited video. I watched the whole video. I watched the video until the police officer came and picked up the camera. It was actually his phone that he was using to live stream to Twitch. It was an active duty Air Force service man. That's number one. So he was active duty. He wasn't discharged because of his mental capacity. He was active duty, and he immolated himself in protest of the war. He was talking about colonizers. He was talking about genocide. I don't know if you're with me on this, but I personally don't think that the United States should be concerned about, global foreign policy at this critical moment in time in the history of the country. We have rampant inflation. We have crazy unemployment. We have homelessness that is out of pocket, absolutely out of pocket. We have problems with the real estate markets. We're having issues with the elections. I mean, listen. I trust that this, really has an effect, a positive effect on what's going on. And we're going to keep you posted on this. The brother's a martyr. I'm just going to say that. The man's a martyr, and this is a big deal. Big deal. Let's move forward. Yellen urges world leaders to unlock frozen Russian central bank assets and send them to Ukraine. So it's one thing to freeze assets, in the SWIFT system, the sanctions and stuff. It's one thing to freeze them. You can't move them around until we figure out what's happening. But this person, this right here, when you're talking about taking money from a country that is a nuclear power, that's a war button as far as I'm concerned. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen today offered her strongest public support yet for the idea of liquidating roughly $300 billion in frozen Russian central bank assets and using them for Ukraine's long-term reconstruction. Quote, "It is necessary and urgent for our coalition to find a way to unlock the value of these immobilized assets to support Ukraine's continued resistance and long-term reconstruction." Whew. She was in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Quote, she went on to say, "I believe there is a strong international law, economic, and moral case for moving forward. This will be a decisive response to Russia's unprecedented threat to global stability. The United States and its allies froze hundreds of billions of dollars in Russian foreign holdings in retaliation for Moscow's invasion of Ukraine. Those billions have been sitting untapped as the war grinds on, now in its third year, while officials from multiple countries have debated the legality of sending the money to Ukraine. More than 2/3 of Russia's immobilized central bank funds are located in the European Union." So, listen. I watched the interview that Putin gave to Tucker Carlson. If you haven't watched it, I suggest you watch it. This man sees the Ukraine thing as a civil war. He sees it as an internal civil war. I think very similar to Mexico trying to take parts of Texas or California. I'm not very familiar with the history of this. I do know this stuff probably originates all the way back from the Bolshevik Revolution. But who am I? I don't know anything, but I do know you mess with this country's money, that's a problem. That's a big problem. U.S. annual home prices rising despite fourth quarter slowdown. FHFA says, this is Reuters by way of Yahoo Finance. U.S. annual home prices rose again in December, although housing prices growth slowed during the fourth quarter of 2023. Home prices grew 6.6% on a yearly basis from an upwardly revised 6.7% in November. A survey released by the Federal Housing Finance Agency showed today the slight decrease in appreciation followed on the heels of the swiftest annual growth in November since December 2022. I want to point out this right here. Upwardly revised. So they'll put out numbers, right? And then they wait a few months or so, and then they go back and they change the numbers up or down, usually to make it more correct. But at the time when they release the numbers, they're trying to really, I would say, manipulate the public opinion as well as manipulate stock markets, because if you got to say that, hey, the increase in the price of homes was actually 5%, and then 3 months later you go back and revise that 5% to 8%, you were lying 3 months later. And the true nature of the market or of this specific industry is not being communicated. So I just want to point that out. Bottom line, though, houses are getting more expensive. Layoffs in 2024, a list of companies cutting jobs this year. This is from the Wall Street Journal via Microsoft Start. I be finding these ways to view these articles without signing in and making accounts. I don't do that dance. Companies are cutting staff and focusing on efficiency amid a commitment to do more with less following a year of widespread layoffs. Alphabet, Amazon, and UPS are among those who have announced job cuts in recent weeks. The layoffs so far this year suggest that companies are cutting in more targeted areas. The labor market, which flashed some warning signs at the end of last year, has defied market predictions of a significant slowdown. How is that? Maybe because they haven't revised the numbers yet. Employers added a seasonally adjusted 353,000 jobs in January, according to the Labor Department, beating economists' expectations. The unemployment rate also held steady at 3.7%. Hey, and I would pay attention in a couple months, see if they come back and upwardly revise that. Here's a look at some of the companies that have announced layoffs so far this year. We got Cisco Systems. We got DocuSign. We got Estee Lauder. We have Expedia. We have Instacart. We have Nike, Okta, Paramount Global, Snap, Sony, Warner Music, Zoom, Alphabet, Google, Amazon, BlackRock, Citigroup, Discord, Duolingo, eBay, iRobot, Macy's, Microsoft, PayPal, Rent the Runway, Salesforce, Sports Illustrated, United Parcel Service, Unity Software, Universal Music Group, Wayfair, Xerox. And I'm saying there's probably more companies that's going to be doing layoffs. This is not going anywhere. Moving forward, we have Macy's will close about 150 department stores, but open new locations of better performing chains. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Macy's will close about 150 of its namesake stores and invest in its roughly 350 remaining locations. It will also open new locations of its Bloomingdale's and Blue Mercury chains. The changes announced as part of the retailer's new growth strategy reflect the brands that are performing the best at Macy's. So they're closing down. It's going down. Sales are bad. I don't know what else we're gonna say about that. They close the stores, y'all. So 150 stores, that means 150 stores worth of employees. Lowe's beats earnings estimates as sales fall, and the company expects revenue to slide again this year. Sales fell during the period, and home improvement retailer expects revenue to drop again during its current fiscal year. The home improvement chain was going up against lower expectations for its fourth quarter. It had cut its full year forecast in November after CEO Marvin Ellison said the company had felt, quote, greater than expected pullback, end quote, on pricier items and discretionary home products. Lowe said it factored economic uncertainty into its forecast for the current fiscal year. It said it expects total sales of between $84 billion and $85 billion, which would be a drop from $86.38 billion in fiscal year 2023. It anticipates comparable sales will decline between 2 and 3% compared with the prior year and expects earnings per share of approximately $12 to $12.30. Quote, our perspective of 2024 is that we're going to feel this DIY pressure throughout the year, and we're going to perform at a high level, irrespective of what kind of macroeconomic environment we're dealing with, Ellison said. Yet he acknowledged home improvement demand has been hurt by lower home sales and consumers' choices to spend more on services like travel, concerts, and restaurants rather than goods. I don't necessarily know if I believe that, but aspiring homeowners say they face two major obstacles to buying. Here's why 20% of home buyers say it'll never happen. Let's just jump on these little points right here. More than half of the aspiring homeowners say the cost of living and insufficient income make it difficult to afford a down payment and closing costs for a home. The report also found a degree of pessimism from aspiring home buyers who think they will never be able to buy a home or that it will take at least 5 or 10 years. Quote, that's a long time for people to wait, end quote. This is Mark Hamrick, senior economic analyst and Washington bureau chief of Bankrate. When asked about their ability to buy a home, 20% of aspiring homeowners said they may never be able to save enough for the down payment and other costs. Meanwhile, 30% said it could take them at least 5 years, while 10% said it could take them a decade or longer. Quote, that's a long time for people to wait. Never is a long time, and so can be 5 or 10 years. Mortgage rates crossed 7% again. High mortgage rates can contribute to aspiring homeowners feeling that their income is holding them back from buying in the current market. As interest rates rose sharply in 2022, the average cost of a monthly mortgage payment swelled to $2,045 in December 2022. This is a 46% increase from $1,400 a year prior. This is according to a September report from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. More people were denied on mortgage applications for insufficient income in 2022 than in 2021. Last week, the 30-year fixed rate mortgage increased to 7.06% from 6.87%, a disappointing sight for those who were expecting more pronounced declines, in the early year. So this is moving forward. Speaking of moving forward, Africa's largest economy is battling a currency crisis and soaring inflation. It's not just here. With inflation nearing 30% and its currency hitting an all-time low, Nigeria is facing one of the worst economic crises in years. The latest data from the National Bureau of Statistics on last Thursday showed that the headline consumer price index rose to 29.9% year on the year, its highest level since 1996. The surging cost of living and economic hardship sparked protests across the country over the weekend. It's not just here. Russia to ban gasoline exports for 6 months. That's going to affect the market. Russian Prime Minister Mikhail Mishustin, I apologize, has approved a ban on gasoline exports for 6 months starting March 1st. There's a lot going on. And March 1st, there's a lot of corporate loans, corporate mortgages with regards to commercial real estate that are coming due and have to be refinanced starting in March. This is going to get crazy. The temporary export ban does not apply to the agreed volumes of supplies to the Eurasian Economic Union countries, Mongolia, Uzbekistan, Abkhazia, and South Ossetia. Deputy Prime Minister Alexander Novak earlier addressed the Prime Minister with a proposal to introduce the temporary ban in a letter dated February 21st. Novak noted that seasonal demand for the fuel will soon pick up in the domestic market. That's going to be bad. Let's move forward. 6 Swedish property giants write down billions as prices crash. This property stuff, commercial property, high interest rates, inflation, this is all over the world. 2 of Sweden's largest property companies today announced multi-billion crown write-downs in their 2023 results as they grappled with a European property rout that both voiced hope could soon be over. Oh, yeah, I bet you do hope. I hope it too. For years, property in Europe, and particularly Germany and Sweden, boomed as interest rates fell, turbocharging demand. A sharp rise in interest rates has now pricked this bubble. So they're basically saying that their property market has just crashed, is what they're saying. If the bubble popped, Sweden's largest commercial landlord wrote down the value of its property by more than 13 billion Swedish crowns, which is 1.3 billion US dollars, slashing its portfolio, including through sales, to 73 billion crowns from 135 billion. It posted a 2023 loss of more than 22 billion crowns. Heimstaden, a property investor with swaths of homes from Stockholm to Berlin, wrote down the value of its investment properties by 31 billion crowns, plunging it to a pre-tax loss of 29 billion crowns. Heimstaden preferential shares dropped more than 30%. That's a crash after Fitch cut its credit rating deeper into so-called junk territory, and the company said it would defer hybrid bond interest payments. We got this stuff. It's happening all over the world, y'all. Students and parents are frustrated by delays in hearing about federal financial aid for college. Did y'all know this was going on? Many students, the excitement of being accepted into their first choice college is being tempered this year by a troublesome uncertainty over whether they'll get the financial aid they need to attend. The financial aid decisions that usually go out with acceptance letters are being delayed because of a later than expected rollout of a revised free application for federal student aid. The form commonly known as FAFSA that schools use to compute financial aid. The results, students and their parents are putting off their college decisions. Quote, "We're not going to make a decision without knowing what we're committing to financially. It will be irresponsible to do that." End quote. This is Jenny Nicholas of Keene, New Hampshire. She wants to make sure that her son, a high school senior, goes to college that is most affordable for their family. So they don't want to accept the acceptance letters and enroll into the college unless they know how much financial aid they're going to receive, because that could put them in debt if they don't receive the proper financial aid. Texas man eavesdropping on wife's phone call faces criminal charges and divorce after $1.76 million insider trading plot. And yet elected officials can be in the stock markets and do all that dance. But listen, a Texas man, bottom line, his wife was working from home. He was listening to her calls, and he saw that there was going to be a merger between these two companies, and he bought a bunch of 46,450 shares of Travel Center stock before the merger, and he made more than $1.76 million. But he's not going to keep it, and that's the way it is. Finance worker pays out $25 million after video call with deep fake financial chief officer. So we got a video call. It wasn't the true guy. It wasn't the real chief financial officer. It wasn't the real CFO. The deep fake video CFO told him to transfer $25 million. He did, and it's all bad. We got to pay attention to this. Pay attention. Bitcoin breaks 57,000 as big buyers circle. Cryptocurrency Bitcoin hit a 2-year high above 57,000 in Asia trade today on signs of heavy institutional buying, while smaller rival Ether topped 3,200 for the first time in 2 years. Bitcoin is moving. If y'all are in that, you're doing your dance. And it's a luxurious thing. But, make sure you sign up for the email list. Stay up to date with what we're doing. We have I would say the most affordable, cogent and concise and operable trustee training that has ever existed. Link in the description if you would like to sign up. It's extensive. You will be operating private trusts in no time. It's not a game. There's no tricks. There's no tests. Our job is to get you operating as soon as possible. Learn at your own pace. No rush. Like I said, no tests. No stress. Just establish your private estate, private business trust, asset trust, family trust. Link in the description. If you're looking to start a business, we have an extensive course on how to start a business. I went to school for international business and sales and marketing. I also went to a business magnet high school. So I've been doing this. This is my thing. And, I put a lot of time and effort into this course. It's very affordable. It's worth it. Anyone who got it at the previous price, that was an accident. Congratulations to you. Happy luxuriousness. And we have the Foundation magazine, digital or print. It's a wonderful, luxurious thing. I'm very, very happy for this magazine. We're currently in cybersecurity. Cybersecurity, I believe, fully works hand in hand with privacy. Being private business, private administration, private asset protection, so on and so forth. Digital privacy is just as important. So we're getting into that. We did 3 volumes with regards to cybersecurity, 3 volumes. So you can sign up for the digital or the print edition. It's up to you. Link in the description. And I trust that y'all had a good time. I mean, as much as you could, but more than anything else, I trust that you learned something and you're staying informed. Y'all have a great day. Enjoy yourself. Take care of yourself. Make sure you say 10 things that you're thankful for before you go to sleep tonight and every night, as it is very important. And I'll catch y'all tomorrow on Current Events. Peace, y'all.